Welcome to Switching Reels.
Hi, Connor.
Hi, Trenton.
Welcome to Switching Reels. I'm going to open with, why is it that everything on the IMDb Top 250 is sad? Like, why is that the feeling that gets you onto the IMDb Top 250? Sadness.
Because sad movies are more likely to be good.
Just by the fact of them being sad?
There is, I think, sadness. Oh, actually, this is a real topic. I think that there is actually a tendency for people to make sad movies better, only because I think negative emotion is easier to put into a film format than good emotion. At least to do it well. I think it takes a lot of expertise to make a happy thing feel happy
that
and
hits
not
you
just
as hard as a sad thing to make you feel sad.
Right. Well, that hits you as hard. And the other thing is, I mean, how everyone has seen happy things that are actually just ridiculously annoying.
Yeah.
And so, like, that's such a hard target to hit.
Yeah.
Whereas something that's sad, if you are conveying powerful emotion in any way negatively, it'll work.
It does just work. That's so interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like I read a study at some point, or read about a study at some point that mentioned that our brains are just a lot better at recognizing and remembering negative feelings than they are happy ones. Because like with happy
depressing.
ones, I know, right? But with happy ones, there isn't anything that you have to learn from it. It's just like a nice serotonin boost, and like it can help you like build habits. Happiness can, but sad things and angry things and those kinds of things are like things you have to avoid in the future. And so your brain is like, I can remember that. I'm not doing that anymore.
Oh no.
Yeah. Which like you don't often hear about people that have like the opposite of depression.
Mania?
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's true. So there is, but like, it's not nearly as prevalent as depression is.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
And so that's just, interesting.
I used to have manic episodes and then they stopped happening and I was torn.
Yeah.
Because on one hand, it's like, well, now I'm not doing stupid things that make me feel good for a while, but also I'm like, I kind of miss
feeling good
for a while, you know?
Oh no.
I don't necessarily know that I would have found any sort of balance, which is what I'm working on now.
Which is great.
Yeah. Welcome to Switching Reels, where we talk about mental health.
Yeah, that's that's what the purpose of our podcast is now.
What did we even watch today, Trenton?
We watched Paranormal.
Yes, Paranormal Activity.
Just kidding. We watched Parasite, the 2019 Emmy winner for Best Novel.
Yeah. All right, let's start with, do you think that this deserved the Hugo Award that it won?
What's a Hugo Award? Like, I'm pretty sure that,
you absolutely know what that is.
I have an idea, but like I don't know what else has won the Hugo Award.
Dune.
Okay. What else?
Okay, so this is going to be weird because I don't know most of them. But this is how you lose the Time War.
Okay. They made the movie out of that?
No.
Oh, okay. Oh.
This was pretty recent.
Sorry. Hugo Awards for books?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice. You took me seriously. That's great. And I couldn't even get the joke. That's upsetting.
Yeah.
Okay, I was like, Dune. Okay, that one has a movie.
I guess that has a movie.
It has a part 1 to it. And I'm like, okay, cool.
Also, I do think that the movie won for an adaptation award at the Hugos. I think. I don't know. I honestly haven't been paying that much attention to them over the past few years. Usually it's a good thing to be like, the one that won, you know, at least check it out.
Exactly.
It's probably decent.
It's probably pretty good. Nice. So
anyway,
this was
Parasite. This won the Academy Award Best
Academy
Picture.
Award. What's the Emmys?
Emmys is TV. Academy Awards is also the Oscars. So the same thing.
Oh, they're the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yep.
I did not know that. I have not connected them.
Yeah.
I will still call them Emmys by accident.
I'm sure you will.
Yeah. I've at least connected Academy Awards and Oscars.
And you will probably do it on purpose.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
But if I don't, I'm going to do my best to make it look like I did.
All right. I feel like we are circling the conversation
So because Parasite is weird.
It's weird.
It's hard to talk about.
It's also dense.
Yeah, it is really dense. Like, this is eating pasta as all 3 courses.
This is cheesecake as all 3 courses.
I'm fine with that. Pasta cheesecake.
I'm not fine with that.
No, me either. So, so the actual question that we can ask is, does it belong its place on the list?
I'd say yes.
I think so too, actually.
Yeah. If there's one thing that I think it doesn't do well, and it's probably the same thing that that would be why I have some of the other films above this, is its emotionality. Like, I do not feel strong emotions for any of the characters in this.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised watching it. And we'll go into all the different things that happened to everyone.
Yeah.
And when we didn't feel feelings, when we felt like we should feel feelings.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So that would really be the only technical thing. I think otherwise this is so outstanding it still gets a 10 from me, even though I, again, feel nothing for the characters.
No, so 10 enjoyment or 10 technical?
10 technical.
I think I'm only going to give it 9 technical because they didn't do the emotional portrayal very well.
That's fair.
So,
again, I would say some of the other things that it does really well, push it. Yeah,
into 10. 10 isn't perfect.
All of the extra credit points make up for the lost point.
That makes sense. I'll go 9.5.
Okay.
Enjoyment though was much higher than I feel like it has any right to be for me.
My enjoyment is actually considerably lower.
Yeah, what's yours?
I think I'm probably at a strong 7 to a light 8.
Yeah.
And that's a stronger 7 than the light 8.
No, totally. And I was thinking still around an 8, 8.5 as well. But it still feels higher than it should be for the material.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I feel like the moment we start talking about this, we are definitely going to run into spoilers. So
yeah, absolutely. I agree. Hitting the wall a little early.
First thing, before we do that, if you haven't seen this movie, I would recommend watching it, but do not go into it thinking it's a horror movie.
No.
That is what the promotional material led me to believe going to see this in theaters, and I had a far worse time than this time watching it. So.
It's suspense. That is it.
It's a suspense thriller.
Yeah.
And I would say it's more drama than either of those.
I completely agree.
But it's too weird
to
just say it's a normal drama.
It's a driller.
I hardly know her. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, all right. Coming up to the spoiler wall, please like, comment, subscribe if you like what we're doing here.
Yeah.
And come back around.
And this one, I'm just going to say before we do anything, as far as the comments, I would actually really appreciate seeing what other people thought of this, because everything I've heard about it is just people going, it was good. And it's either that or a video essay breaking down individual pieces of it. And I haven't heard a whole lot of opinions about what people actually liked or actually disliked about this. So I'm curious to hear yours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, I would love to hear that as well. Yeah. You're about to hear ours. So
all right.
Oh
boy.
Man. Okay. I really thought that they were going to go, so the movie is called Parasite.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to just do a boring technical summary real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
The movie follows a family who is pretty down and out. They're not finding work. There's not a really very much opportunity for them. They're doing their best, pretty much. But they are struggle bus real hard.
Yeah.
So they are let into a family through a contact, a very affluent family, tutoring a daughter, and then from there tutoring a son, and then you follow as the entire family gets hired, and that just has such deep consequences because they aren't nice about it. But like I was wondering for a little while during this movie, like, are we going to go and play the card of, okay, which side is the parasite?
Yeah.
Like, is it the family that's the parasite, or is it the rich people that's the parasite?
Yeah.
And I think they dropped that like partway through that part, like they kind of squashed that thing partway through for me, because you get introduced to like a third pair of parasites out of all of them. And so it's,
and I would make the argument, at least, you know, in the technical meaning of the word parasite, that the affluent family is not parasitic.
Yeah.
I would think the better question with this is the parasite worse than the host?
Yeah, totally.
And I think for me, this movie is about examining the evils of malevolence and the evils of apathy, as sort of side-by-side sort of things. Like, the family that is moving in is very malevolent in their methods, in the way that they
are cutthroat.
Yeah, they are cutthroat.
They don't really think about it very much.
Yeah, well, and they even, like, when they start thinking about it, other people in the family tell them, stop
thinking about it. And then they die.
It's not
so
about,
good.
Yeah. I don't know if that's good. And as far as the affluent people, like, number one, they're oblivious. And number two, they're willfully apathetic.
Yeah.
Like, very much so.
Very much so.
Yeah. So that was the biggest thing that struck me watching it this time through, is I'm just like, that's really what's at the center of this, at least to me, is that sort of question, I guess. And I don't feel like it's given a really good answer.
I would agree.
But yeah, it's
completely. The like moral character of nearly every person in this movie is, in my opinion, subpar. I'm trying to find anyone that has in my brain like positive moral character, and I think it's maybe just the driver, the original driver. He wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
Like
and maybe the daughter in the family,
maybe the daughter, and maybe the son, but it's because he's young.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Just
if you're an adult in this movie, then you're
as soon as you hit adulthood, you tank in character, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like most of the fathers had very similar character traits, or most of the husbands had very similar character traits.
Yeah.
Of like being very impulsive and not exceptionally great leaders of the house. Like the poor family's father was like maliciously like it was all he's almost maliciously compliant.
Yeah.
And also, like, I only have the word wimpy. There's a better word for it. With what he was like.
The word that comes to mind is cowardly, but that doesn't sound right to me.
Yeah, because it does look like not taking responsibility for your actions, and that is him.
Yeah.
Like, the consequences that he accepts are hide.
Yeah. Well, and they even talk about it at one point where they say, if Mr. Park were to come home right now, your father would run like a cockroach.
Exactly.
And like, he acts like that makes him angry. And then I think the implication there is that he just kind of accepts it like, yeah, that's a part of my character. Like, that's who I am.
But you had it's that interaction where someone calls him a cockroach, and his wife calls him a cockroach, and then he acts out in anger and then retreats is a parallel of how he acts.
That's actually really interesting.
The affluent husband is talking about, or is trying to save his son, getting him to the hospital, and looks at disdain on him and the family. Yeah. He goes, stabs the guy, and then runs again. Like he has these momentary outbursts, which very much fits with his character or the thing that he's said is his character, which is, I don't make plans because then I can't be disappointed when the plans don't go to plan, and I accept the consequences. Yeah. But he does.
Ooh. The other thing that I thought was a really interesting parallel, but I'm not entirely sure what the significance of it is the idea of wealth and the things bringing wealth.
Yeah, there's a couple of those.
And it was the thing that confused me the most when I first watched this in the theater was The Rock. But there's also there's a throwaway line about a ghost being in the house
and giving you
brings wealth.
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel like there's some sort of parallel that's supposed to be there. I'm not entirely sure what that is. It would have made more sense to me if the son, Kiwoo?
I think so.
Anyway, if he had been the one that died when he was killed with the rock.
Yeah. I was like, oh, that's fitting.
Yeah, that would have made sense to me, but I don't necessarily know with the daughter being killed.
I think the thing that they were getting at with the daughter being killed was the fact that, like, probably out of all of them, she was likely the least repentant.
That's true.
They mention it a little bit, like, hey, you fit in really well into this society. And whenever
because she's oh my gosh, I never realized that was okay.
And because like the affluent family, like you were saying, is like apathetic, but it's not malicious apathy, but it is like they don't think about the consequences of the things that they do.
Yeah,
and neither does the daughter. She fits in super well.
Yeah,
and dies with the husband.
The daughter of one family and the husband of the other.
Yes, sorry. The poor daughter dies with dies in the same place as the affluent husband.
Yeah.
The amount of tension that they build in the middle part of this movie, and then kind of through the end, but like it really hits the crescendo.
Yeah.
In the middle is awesome.
Yeah, and I think most people would agree that the Ramadan scene is one of probably the best scene in the movie.
Yeah. Cause it's from when the old housekeeper enters to when everyone finishes sneaking out. That's just it's just so well. It's really, really well done because they don't there are moments where you're like, are we just gonna ignore the fact that there's a potentially dead woman that's been concussed at the bottom of the stairs?
Right. Yeah.
While the affluent woman is having dinner. It's so good. I thought it was really, really, really good.
Well, and one of the first things that a lot of people were able to bring up about this that were more familiar with Korean culture than I was was the fact that Ramadan is generally a poorer meal. And
so funny.
That's why when she calls and goes like, yeah, he likes it. And then,
do you know how to make it?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. And then she says, add the sirloin in there because, you can't just serve Ramadan to your son.
No.
Right? That's bad parenting.
It's bad parenting. Oh my gosh, I love that.
Yeah.
That's great.
Like that was one of the first things that like became like the popular like, hey everybody, look how cool this is. It's like, yeah, it was really cool.
Like the subtle snubs
Yeah.
that the affluent family gives the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
It's just they're just so well done.
Yeah.
You know, like they feel real. They feel like now entitled rich people talking about people that have less money than them. Like it's how it's so interesting.
Yeah. And I think what's fascinating about this is how poorly it portrays both the rich and the poor.
Yeah. No one gets by clean on this one.
Right. Because like the poor people are willing to do anything for money.
Yep.
And the rich people are willing to pay to make any problem go away.
Exactly. Literally anything.
Yeah.
The minor inconvenience.
Right.
Whew.
Yeah. There's a lot to this movie, and I genuinely don't know if I can get into a lot of it because
but like it's just so good.
Yeah.
I was trying to think about so one very minor plot point that I thought was interesting is we don't ever see the landscaper.
Oh yeah.
But there has to be a landscaper for like everything.
How perfectly manicured that yard is.
And also like I imagine that the tree placement was intentional because like it's a yard full of tree after a certain point. Like that has to all be intentional and therefore has to also be manicured to keep it at a certain point.
Yeah.
And so that was just so like that's not actually that wasn't a big thing. I was just like, oh, there's another character here or a service that they buy, but you never see it happen, which is very interesting.
Yeah,
but I just kept looking at the yard and I was like, wow. Oh, and also the rainstorm and how they used that to like partway through the movie. So
actually, I want to touch on something before we get there. During the rainstorm, I think it's really interesting in the way that it relates to the apathy theme, that the family is sitting up in, or the poor family is sitting up in the rich family's house, drinking and having a great time, not thinking about what this rain is doing.
Whoa.
Yeah.
They don't even think about it until they get down there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's contagious. There it is.
Yeah.
It's the house's fault.
The
entire point of this movie is
this is a haunted house film, and I was wrong. The
entire time. It's like I still wouldn't call it horror, but it's a sentient horror, like haunted house movie. This house does bad things to people.
Yep,
that's what it is. So, the rain in the middle of the movie is the family goes away for a little bit, and everyone is house sitting.
Affluent family goes away. Poor family is house sitting.
Yeah. Poor family is house sitting, and they're just going ham, doing all of the alcohols and reading all of the journals and everything.
Yep, they're snorting alcohol and eating journals.
Exactly. It's a fantastic feast, but it's raining outside. The family had gone away to celebrate the affluent family had gone away to celebrate their youngest son's birthday. And they were going to go camping for X amount of time. Mm-hmm. But that all comes to a crashing halt when and this is some beautiful foreshadowing as well. Like I didn't catch it, but I can look back on it now. Mm-hmm. When the affluent family calls and says, "Hey, get some dinner ready for us," it was because the river flooded. Like there's so much rain that where the campsite they were going at, everyone was packing up because there's too much water.
Yeah.
And then the poor family is stuck in the affluent family's house. And I don't think they could have done anything because of where they lived. Like, even if they had been at their house, there was more than just the one window that was open to go and cause them problems.
Yeah. But that certainly didn't help.
That sure did not help at all. And that window, dumb window. Houses in this movie just are enemies. You know? Where you live is bad. Just don't live better places. Don't live in buildings that you build. Live outside. Nothing bad except for stabbings happens outside.
No, the river floods and you got to pack up your tent.
You would have had to do that anyway.
Okay? Now you gotta pack up your tent and you can't sleep anywhere tonight. Even in the gym.
Oh, that's
because
annoying.
that's in a building.
Because that's in a building. Someone built. I'm gonna have to go and repair my thesis after that destruction. I appreciate it.
Only sleep in public buildings.
Only sleep in public buildings. Only sleep in rivers.
All right. This has gotten off track.
Yes, anyway, but yeah, the consequence of the rainstorm to both of them was so different. You know, like the affluent family, they're like, hey, we're letting our kid be outside in a teepee in this rainstorm and it'll be fine. You know, like there's nothing bad that happens about it. Also, the next morning we have a beautifully sunny day. There's no pollution because of all of the rain.
Yeah.
And it's just so nice. And they're saying this around the poor family who just had complete water damage through their entire home.
Which, on one hand, they didn't know that this family was poor.
No.
On the other hand, they didn't care to find out.
They had no care about it.
Yeah.
Like, well, it's their job to handle that for themselves.
Right, yeah.
Like, that's so interesting.
Also, I don't know if this was actually related to anything you said, but I was reminded of it because another point to your theory about the poor family's daughter fitting in and all of that kind of thing, that kind of stuff. She is the only one who is not actually bringing anything to the family and may actually be harming people in the family by...
That's true, by being there. Like, she isn't providing a service, like the son, who's actually tutoring when he isn't making out with the daughter.
Right.
And the dad, who isn't actually a driver, and the mom, who's actually a housekeeper. Like, though everyone there does a job.
Yeah. With the exception of her.
Interesting.
Which...
She's the actual parasite.
She Googled how to
be an art therapist.
How to be an art therapist and then just riffed on it.
Yeah.
Which, like, if this kid has the trauma that he clearly actually does have, that's not good.
No, that's bad.
That means you're not taking care of this kid's
issues.
Development.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Also, there is cause to believe that she is also the one making the most money out of anyone in the family.
Yeah, because she negotiates a very high salary for what she is doing, which is nothing.
Yeah.
See, this is a great one. Like, because the entire movie, I was trying to figure out, okay, who is the parasite?
Yeah.
Like, when we meet the housekeeper and the fact that she has a husband downstairs, which we haven't even touched on, because this movie is so dense. But the old housekeeper moved her husband into the house 4 years ago when the house switched owners. He's living downstairs.
Yeah.
To completely separate husband and family than anyone else we've been talking about so far. But he's downstairs, just been living there in the dark for 4 years and going a little crazy. He is... At some point, the question is asked, like, to the audience, is he the parasite? Are you the parasite? Like, is the wife, like, are you stealing food? But no, the wife goes and says, no, I've been paying for his food this entire time out of my paycheck. Like, it's enough money for me and him. Like, it's fine. And
I mean, free rent is still pretty damn good.
Absolutely. Which I think she might be paying for rent. I don't know if she probably does live there. I don't know if she lives there.
Like, I don't think she does.
Where does the housekeeper
because
live?
there is implication that
a housekeeper can live there 24/7.
Yeah.
So
it's possible.
It is possible. So anyway, in that case, they would have been getting free rent anyway. No, they wouldn't have. That's not a good argument.
Yeah.
But so he's a little parasitic, but I do think you're right. I think the daughter is the true one.
Yeah. I mean, this is never directly asked to the audience, so I don't necessarily think that we need to answer who the parasite is, but if
you want to think about it, I've thought about it and I've now made a conclusion, so we can move on.
Excellent. Okay, so what was the significance of the rock?
The significance of the rock, I want to know if there's more in Korean culture, because I can only look at this from a Western view. Like I have no idea if that was actually significant.
I had a teacher who, before showing us foreign films, basically was like, you have to understand, like, this was not made for you. This was made for
the target audience.
The target audience was the people who live in the country that this film was made in.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that's always the case, but I do think that it was the case with this one.
Like that one Italian film. Oh, The Good, Bad, and the Ugly.
Yeah, Good, the Bad, and the Ugly was clearly made for Western audiences.
Exactly.
But no, like, there are some films that I think are almost like a, hey, this is what's happening, please pay attention to it.
Yes.
There was a film I saw in that class, actually, called Taxi.
You told me this one.
Did I?
Maybe.
The director is Iranian, and he has had to smuggle out at least two of his films.
Wow.
Possibly more.
That's crazy.
This one is like him just being a taxi driver, and like the entire film takes place inside his taxi, as he's moving people around and having these conversations that are basically like, the government does not want me to be discussing these kind of things with people. Exactly. And that kind of thing. And it really like rides the line between like reality and fiction a lot. Like, because he plays himself.
Yeah.
But yeah, he gets killed at the end. But sorry, spoilers for Taxi.
We're past the spoiler wall. Anything on this side is a spoiler for something.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It's a great film though, and I highly recommend it. If I even got the name right, I think it was Taxi. I haven't been able to find it, but I know I saw it, and I saw it in that class, and it was great.
That's wonderful. So good. So back to Parasite.
Yes, this one was made for South Korea.
Yeah.
By South Koreans.
And so like, yeah, I haven't like because the grandfather had been collecting a lot of these. Like, this was just something that was kind of just passed on, and this family didn't have any of it. You know, it was one of the first interactions and or gifts like in the movie, sorry. And
I do think it's like the second thing that's even brought up.
Yeah. I think it was after
Maybe
Pizza
not.
Boxes.
No, it was after Pizza Boxes.
It was after Pizza Boxes, but and then you lose it for like half the movie. It doesn't even show up again.
Yeah.
Until
it just hangs out in the house.
And during that time, they are getting more like financially prosperous.
Yeah.
You know, the night that they don't go back to the house is the night that everything goes to shoot. You know,
you're on this side of the spoiler wall. You can say whatever you want.
I know, appreciate it. And so I feel like there's some sort of connection between, hey, this was given to me by the person that got us into this situation in some sense.
Yeah.
And this like symbol of prosperity, I'm going to use this symbol of prosperity to ensure that my family continues to be prosperous.
Yeah.
And then he drops it.
Right.
And gets smashed in the head with it.
I suppose when he drops it, that is when everything else goes to shit.
It
goes
so
from
bad.
It goes from,
this is kind
oh
of
no, like, our semi-basement just got flooded, to like, we are all out of jobs and one of us is dead, one of us had to have brain surgery, and like, they don't really go into what's going on with the mom, but clearly she's under some very, very heavy mental strain.
Yes, absolutely.
Or emotional strain.
And she got slashed.
Yeah. I don't think that her getting slashed was the...
I think it was. Not losing a daughter or a husband or everything else bad that happened.
I remembered something. Okay. Camera work in this is just great all the way across the board. Good. But by far, my favorite scene for driving home the themes that they're trying to drive home is the dog eating the sausages off of the sword that the guy was stabbed with.
The squatter husband.
Yeah. That is such a perfect picture of the apathy. Yeah. Also, the poor family treats the dogs very badly, and the affluent family treats them too well, but I felt very bad for the dogs sometimes.
The dogs were just not again, it's a whole animals don't have a choice. They don't know better. Their lifespan sucks. They don't have big enough brains to know what's going on. They're just these sweet little creatures. And
not my dog.
About which one?
Huh?
About which one?
What do you mean?
I just laid out 3 accusations.
Oh, the last part.
Oh, okay. The sweet little creatures?
Yeah, she's not a sweet little creature.
I think Wicked's a sweet little creature.
Have you heard what she says?
No, not very often.
Oh, it's cruel.
It's vulgar.
Yeah.
That makes sense, actually. Does she get better or worse with Laramie?
More dismissive with Laramie.
There you go.
But the things she says to my wife are very mean.
I can only imagine. We'll need to go and get some pictures up of Wicket.
Yeah.
And her quotes for the day.
Absolutely.
Good.
Love it.
But no, I completely agree. Yeah, no, that was just a beautiful, it was the conclusion, this was in a thesis paper.
Yeah.
That shot of the dog eating the sausages off of the man that's been impaled.
Yeah.
is that's the message.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
That's one half of the message.
Yeah.
The other thing that I found interesting was the very end of this film. Because when I saw it in theaters, I remember thinking, this feels like just kind of an epilogue and not one that we needed. Looking at it now, I'm seeing it more from the perspective of this is almost how the apathy is created.
Yeah.
It starts here, and then it goes to what the mom was talking about with the money ironing everything out.
Yep.
Until you've reached the point where you have been so dedicated to this path and everything else has been ironed out that you no longer even remember where you started.
Yeah. Ship Odysseus, but on steroids.
Theseus.
Theseus?
Yeah.
Ship Theseus, but on steroids.
The ship of Odysseus is everyone dies except for you. And also the ship dies.
Sounds
right. So yeah, I think that would be at least my guess as to why that epilogue is there.
I also
it's a plan, which is the exact opposite of what his dad has talked about.
It's a bookend. Because the son, when he's talking about the letter that his sister has now forged for him to get this job, and how it's not actually a crime, this is just him printing it a little bit early.
Yeah.
He makes those kinds of empty promises. That's part of his character, is slightly empty promises. I think that this is one of his slightly empty promises to his dad.
This is the promise he made to his friend when he got the job.
Yes.
It's the promise he made about going to university.
Mm-hmm. We could do a little bit the promise that he made to go and solve everything. But that's a loose one.
Oh, yeah. He tried to fulfill that
He
one.
tried to fulfill that one.
He just ended up brained.
Exactly. Literally. Oh, that was so traumatizing. Throwing that rock at the guy on the ground. Like, oh my God. That scene. But no, so that's what I think it's there. I think it's a, hey, like here is some hope for it, but it's like empty hope, you know? Like it's a know that we're thinking about you. This isn't, but like I don't know, it feels important in my soul, but I can't put it into words very well. Like he has a character trait, like his dad has a character trait of making big dreams and plans and promises that will fail and will not be realized.
So you would say he and his dad are opposites in that way, then?
I would absolutely agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you then say that there is some implication that he does follow through on this one by the amount that is shown there and that kind of thing? Would you say that that is an indication of why he ends up in one place versus the other? Because his dad is... No, because his dad starts out where he is.
Yeah.
Basically. Okay. Another thing that I learned while watching the discourse on this film, there was a big restaurant boom.
Oh. Okay.
And then the economy went to shit. And I don't know, this may have happened twice in quick succession or something like that. But that's why all of these people that have massive amounts of debt, the poor family, they had restaurants.
Yeah.
The family that lives under the house, the reason the debt collectors are after the husband of that couple is that he had 2 restaurants. I don't remember where I was going with this, but that is just another...
Like, really...
Like, it's something that you don't realize if you...
No, I didn't know that was like a common thing. I was like, wow, if restaurants and like the struggles of restaurants come up often, like you open with the box folding.
Yeah.
And you like have the husband, both of the poor husbands having started and upfilled restaurants.
Which, I mean, the restaurant business is brutal across the world, but it seems especially so here. Like, not only will you... Is there a high chance of failure, but it will wreck you if you do. And it's because people were going into debt.
Yeah.
Starting in these booms that just fell apart.
Yeah.
Wow. So I would say you have to have some sort of dream or plan in order to open a restaurant like that.
Agreed.
Is this a case of history repeating itself then? Of his son seeking to basically create a plan to get lots and lots of money so that he can buy the house, only to run into the same sorts of issues that his father did that were outside of his control, that cause everything to explode and end up right back where his dad was, where he's just saying, well, don't have
living under a house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Leave the windows open. We'll get free extermination.
Exactly.
I understand to an extent what he was going for, but there is no way that any infestation is worse than breathing in extermination fumes.
Yeah, it's meant to kill things.
Yeah.
That's what it's made for.
I mean, I've lived in apartments with double infestation of cockroaches.
Wait, how does that work? 2 colonies, or did it happen once?
2 separate breeds of cockroaches were living in my apartment with me.
Oh my gosh.
It brought me to tears more than once.
That's nice. That's great.
I don't
That's
have
awesome.
cockroaches anymore.
Good. I'm so glad.
I did avoid the bed bug infestation at my first apartment, though.
Good job.
Yeah. By about 2 months.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Talked to my former roommate, and he had been sleeping in the tub. Mm-hmm.
That's awful. Oh my goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Again, houses are bad. We should give up on them and not have them anymore.
Yeah. There are far less bugs out in the world and in the
Far
woods
less.
than
Far fewer.
in your house.
They don't exist. Where did bed bugs live?
Before beds.
Before beds. Were they just in like really plush bushes, hoping that some thing would like sit on? Like what did they do? Why are they here? Saw a meme that was a picture of like a bedbug family in like like a wall or something, and one of the bedbug kids comes in and is like, "You wouldn't imagine what they just invented." It was beautiful. Like, where do they come from? Why are they here?
And this was all relevant because we're talking about parasites.
Yes,
and
which is true. Yeah,
bed
no, that's
bugs
a great
are
one. Just normal.
kind of
Yeah,
parasitic.
they're not really.
Kinda,
but like
they're opportunistic feeders.
Which is not parasitic.
Well, they infest things.
And just because something infests something does not mean it's parasitic off of it.
All right. Well, you win. This was a tangent that had no correlation to the rest of the podcast.
Literally none, except for cockroaches, which did connect. Barely.
How? Oh, wait, we were talking about extermination. Yeah.
Exactly.
All right.
And also the dad being cockroach.
Yes. Yeah, there we go.
Back to it.
I was completely on topic this
You were.
entire podcast, and you just
derailed it.
Yeah.
It's gone. All because of me.
All right. Next week we're watching Psycho.
Is it better than... Will my heart be okay?
Yes?
More okay than it was watching this.
Yes.
Okay, good. I like the solid yes on that one.
It's a... It's a
also
movie.
a thriller.
It's
like
a
an
movie.
action thriller movie. It's like a Hitchcock, right?
Yeah, it's Hitchcock. I'm not going to tell you very much about it because I also think that this one is better if you go in knowing
all of
basically nothing.
Like most of those, except for 7.
Yeah. 7, you need to know that it's going to be heavy. And Schindler's List, you can guess that. Don't...
If you don't know what Schindler's List is before you watch it, please Google it. So that you don't just like fall apart for the rest of your life.
But yeah, this will end the P trilogy.
Yeah, next week it'll be the end of the P trilogy. The P trilogy being The Pianist, Parasite, and
Psycho. It was spelled with a P at the front.
Most psychos are. Most of them. Like, even if you say psych, that still has a P at the front.
No. Yeah. Not the way I say it.
Interesting, Connor. Like if you get psyched for something, nope, that's still, I think, a PH.
Mm-hmm. But if you get sicked on something.
Like a dog?
Yeah.
Like you are the dog?
Yeah, you are. Yeah.
Cool. I think that the sick dog is psyched, so.
Okay, I don't care how we end this, but we need to.
Connor, how do we end this?
My dear goodness gracious.